Okay, so before we jump into the constructive alignment piece, let's revise some of the key terms that we will be using in the constructive alignment session. Okay, so first term that we might encounter is learning outcomes. Learning outcomes, as the word itself says, outcomes is the product that you get out of learning. This is from a behavioral perspective that we believe that if there is a learning, it has to be exhibited, it has to be shown in the behavior. The behavior will change as a result of learning something. So for example, I am learning how to ride the bike. Once I learn how to ride the bike, I will not fumble down on every ride that I take, right? Once I get skilled at driving, I would not hit every car that comes in front of me, right? So the outcome of the learning something, driving, biking, riding, or something like knowing about the causes of pneumonia would make me make better judgments, better decisions, and exhibit better behaviors. So entire purpose of learning is to improve the behavior, the outcome, right? So yes, with that in consideration, so learning outcomes, when we write learning outcomes, these are statements that describe the knowledge, skill, or an attitude. Knowledge is something that you gain cognitively. Skill is that what you perform in psychomotor ways. Attitudes is your way of looking at something or refraining from something, right? You would acquire by the end of a particular assignment, a session, a course, or a program, and help students learn why is it particularly useful to understand this particular concept, right? So that is the broader definition of learning outcomes. So now when we write learning outcomes, it is important that we have some framework in mind. So Bloom's is one of those frameworks that can help us to write better learning outcomes, which are behavioral, which means the behavior is shown in the learning outcome. So for example, the Bloom's taxonomy is like 6-level taxonomy, and the way you go up, we are going towards, this is the first 3 level or higher order thinking, right? And the last 3 levels are lower order thinking. Your aim as a teacher is to go to the higher level of thinking, right? Bloom's taxonomy helps us to create better learning outcomes. So for example, you will decode the word understand, for example, by saying students will be able to identify the characteristics of particular phenomena, say pneumonia, right? Or causes of pneumonia. Students will be able to demonstrate appropriate, use of vaccination protocol, for example. Students will be able to compare and contrast between patient with fever and without fever, right? Students will be able to critique on a given article using the nursing evidence base that they have gained during the course, right? Or will be able to, or more specifically, they will be able to critique the research methodology of this particular article, in particular, validity and reliability of this article, for example, right? So you go as specific, and you're seeing that how I'm narrowing it down to as specific as I can, right? Or students will be able to develop a hypothesis and test it using an experiment in the lab setting. So that's how you can write learning outcomes. And they are based on your program learning outcomes, right? So each learning outcomes of each session is based on the course learning outcomes, which are then based on program learning outcomes, which we'll come and talk like a little bit more about it.